What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I hope that you all are having a great start to your Monday morning. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get down to business. I want to talk about this situation that's coming out in regards to Aaliyah. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of us are privy to this information that Aaliyah passed away back in 2001 due to a plane crash, okay? Now, there's some new details that are coming out about the plane crash. So, a guy by the name of Kingsley Russell, who was 13 at the time, right, is saying that his mom was driving the taxi that Aaliyah was riding in, all right? She was taking Aaliyah to the airport, and he was 13 at the time. And basically, he's saying that Aaliyah was uncomfortable with boarding that plane, and that she really didn't want to get on that plane at all. Now, he's stating that Aaliyah was so uncomfortable with getting on the plane that there was an argument that took place for hours between Aaliyah's team and the airport staff. And so Aaliyah was like, hell no, I'm not getting on that plane. Now, a lot of reports, especially back in the day, they allude to the fact that Aaliyah was in a rush to get back to see Dame Dash at the time because she was dating him. But Kingsley is telling a whole different story, that Aaliyah was definitely against getting on that plane. Now, another interesting revelation that's coming out now by Kingsley speaking out in regards to what he witnessed on that day is the fact that he said that Aaliyah was given a sleeping pill, and that sleeping pill caused Aaliyah to drift off into a deep sleep. And she was so much into a deep sleep to the fact that her team had to take her out of the taxi and actually board her on the plane, and she was still asleep at the time. So this is what Kingsley is saying. Now, you have to ask yourself, right? Was Aaliyah even aware that she was given a sleeping pill, or was Aaliyah given that sleeping pill on purpose? You know, that's a valid question, because if Aaliyah, right, according to Kingsley, didn't want to get on the plane in the first place, why would they give Aaliyah a sleeping pill? Maybe she needed a sleeping pill just to fly, because there are reports stating that Aaliyah was scared of flying in the first place, and some people take sleeping pills just to get them through the flight. But why would you actually give her a sleeping pill at that moment to exclude her from making the most important decision for her life? And so you took that away from her. And we also know that the pilot had warned them that it was too many things on that particular plane to even fly. He was adamant about not flying, but somehow he got convinced. He got convinced that they would make it somehow. And so I just find that interesting that Aaliyah took a stand and said that she was not getting on the flight. She says that she has a headache, and they give her a sleeping pill, which causes Aaliyah to be in a deep sleep, and she's not conscious enough, or not conscious at all, to be able to make a decision for herself. Basically, they forced her to put her life in somebody else's hands. You know, can you imagine, right, saying that you don't want to get on a particular plane? You have a staff in place that should have your best interest at hand, right? And they board you onto a plane that you said that you don't want to get on while you're asleep. You had no knowledge that you were being boarded on that particular plane, that you were so adamant about not getting on. And on top of that, Kingsley said that Aaliyah actually voiced her concerns about getting on that plane to him and his stepmother, who was driving the cab, saying that Aaliyah had common sense enough to know that it was too many things on that plane and that it wasn't safe. So I have to ask this question, y'all. So Aaliyah tells her team she has a headache. Is it possible that Aaliyah could have been thinking that she was taking medicine for a headache and her team slipped her a sleeping pill instead? I mean, because they do have headache medication that is non-drowsy, and they could have very well gave Aaliyah something to just taper off the headache instead of giving her a whole sleeping pill without Aaliyah knowing how she was going to get from the Bahamas to the US, and the fact that she already had reservations about getting on that particular plane. Like, you know, it's almost like this was deliberately done. You know, I hate to say that, but I'm just keeping it real. And it just seems that members of her entourage, they were the ones in a rush to get back to the US and not Aaliyah. Because the one thing that Kingsley said is that he was tired of hearing this narrative or this rumor that Aaliyah was so in a rush to get back to the US to see Dame. That is far from the truth. Aaliyah was prepared to stay in the Bahamas until they found a new aircraft to be able to haul all of their luggage along with themselves safely back to the US. Listen, I'm gonna go out here on a limb and say this. I don't think that Aaliyah would knowingly take a sleeping pill, being in a situation where she had reservations about getting on a particular plane and she was not able, and she knew that she would not be able or coherent enough to make a decision if she was fast asleep. I just don't see Aaliyah making that type of decision. You know what I'm saying? Or anybody for that matter. Why would you take a sleeping pill and they're trying to put you on this raggedy plane, you know what I'm saying, that it can't haul all the things that you've got to put on the plane, and there's a safety issue, and the pilot is saying there's a safety issue. Why would you take a sleeping pill? The furthest thing on my mind would be falling asleep. I want to be alert and coherent about what's going on around me. So that's just my opinion. I don't think that Aaliyah knowingly took that sleeping pill. I think that it was slipped to her to probably take control of the situation because certain members of her team wanted to get back to the United States, and basically Aaliyah was pushing back on boarding that plane, and so they wanted to make the executive decision for Aaliyah, and she was slipped that sleeping pill. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking by it because this story is just disturbing to me. But anyway, I just want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this entire situation. All right. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll get with you guys in the next video. Stay true, stay up. Peace.